everybody, and Happy New Year. If you are new here, this is the best video for you to get to know me because I am going to do a recap of 2020. I would like to start off by saying that 2020 has been the craziest year for the entire world. So I just wanted to share my recap of 2020 with you guys to show you that everybody has had a rough year, and not that there has not been good in this year, because I have flourished as a person, as a mother. I have enjoyed motherhood. I have watched my baby grow into this beautiful, amazing, tiny little person. So there are good things that came out of 2020, and I am speaking into existence all the positivity and happiness for 2021 that can possibly come my way, the world's way, literally. I want it all good. So get you something to drink, because this is gonna be crazy. Okay, so New Year's Eve 2019, I had a newborn baby, so I don't even know if I made it to midnight. I don't really remember. So anyway, it was a great New Year's Eve 2019. 2020 started out fantastic. You know, I had a newborn. It was just really awesome way to start the year. And then John Michael was deployed. I had a 6-week-old baby, and I've talked about that in previous videos of how he was gone basically, honestly, throughout the whole first year of her life. But that was the first thing that started off 2020. He left in January. Then in February, my grandfather passed away. He had been sick for a while, but it was kind of unexpected because he kind of would get better, then he would get worse again, and then he was at a point where he was doing really good for a while, and then all of a sudden he just kind of took a turn for the worse. So that was probably the turning point for the year 2020 for me. It was a domino effect that just started a whole bunch of crazy, just bad, awful things for not only me but for my family and for the world, because that's when COVID started to come about. And as I said, that was kind of the turning point, and that's when COVID started happening. So I had a newborn, and nobody really knew much about this virus except for that it was killing hundreds of thousands of people. It was really deadly. And you know, we live in Japan, and travel was restricted, so I couldn't go back to the States and be with my family while John Michael was away. So it was just me, Stormy, and our dog Kiyoshi here by ourselves. I was scared to death, literally, of going out. I was paying people to get my groceries for me and bring them to my door. I was like asking people if they would do this for me. I could do something for them in the future, you know. I was not going out at all with her. I did not want to go to the grocery store. I did not want to do anything because I was so scared that if I got sick, who would take care of Stormy? So that was probably one of the most lonely and terrifying experience of my life, because not only was I a new mom, I was alone. I had no one. It was just myself and my baby. And then COVID happened, so I couldn't even go out to the store. I couldn't socialize with my friends because, you know, 2 of my really good friends, one is married to a Marine, so he was being exposed to germs all day, every day. And my other friend that's really close with me, she is a Marine, so I kind of really couldn't be around anybody for quite a while. So that was just really lonely and really hard, especially during postpartum. It was just really scary time. Thankfully, it got bad here, but then we were on a major restriction where nobody could go anywhere. We couldn't do anything. like most people were ordering their groceries and you had to pick them up outside. Like, it was crazy restrictions. But thankfully, because of those restrictions, the COVID cases here went away for months, and we were able to start socializing again and being around people and going to the store. So that was at least a little bit of light in the darkness. And then in May, my mom had a heart attack, and she went to the doctor, and they basically were like, we don't know how you're alive because your heart is nearly completely blocked. She had to have open heart surgery. That was really terrifying, because if you know me personally, or really even if you just follow any of my social medias, you know me and my mom are very close. We talk every single day. My mom is honestly the strongest person I've ever known in my entire life. She's the hardest worker I've ever met. So to see her in such a vulnerable and unhealthy state was really hard for me. And you know, we are 14, sometimes 15 hours ahead of Alabama time. So when her surgeries were taking place and she was going to the hospital and all these things, it was the middle of the night for me. I have a baby, so I have to go to bed. So I would wake up and, you know, my dad would try to send me messages and tell me what was going on and keep me updated. But he would also tell some other family members, and then they would blow up my phone in the middle of the night, and I would wake up to messages like, I'm so sorry, we're praying for you. So I would just, this happened 2 or 3 times, I would just go berserk thinking that something had seriously happened to my mom, that she was gone, and then it would just be a full-on crying panic until I could get my dad to answer the phone and tell me what was going on. So it was just so terrible. It was just I would never wish that on anyone, and I'm so thankful that my mom is still here. That is honestly the greatest part of 2020, is that my mom is still here. So then right after that, my uncle very unexpectedly passed away. And you know, it was a really hard thing for my family because we had just lost my grandfather in February, and then unexpectedly losing my uncle. It was really hard, especially for my dad, because him and his brothers and his dad were always really close. So it was really a shock. So, and all of this happened while John Michael was gone. He came back right around the time my mom was having surgery, and right after my uncle passed away. So it was like really back to back. So then thankfully I did have him home for a little bit. We went back on really heavy restrictions again, and my mom had another heart attack and had to have another surgery, and she actually had went into heart failure at the doctor. She went into cardiac arrest at the doctor's office and had to be rushed to the hospital, all kind of crazy stuff, another surgery. And thankfully she pulled through that one too. She got so much better. And then in July, my best friend, my first child, my just all around my everything, my precious Ariel, my dog, passed away very, very unexpectedly. Like, she was not sick, she was not unhealthy in any way. She was absolutely fine 1 minute, and then the next minute she was gone. We have no idea what actually happened. It was just really unexpected. So that was probably the hardest thing, because, you know, Ariel got me through my darkest days. She was with me through middle school, high school, marriage, moving, you know, like all of these things. She was my saving grace. So that was the hardest thing for me to keep going, you know. And a lot of people might think that sounds crazy, but grief is grief, and to me, she was just as important as a human being. Like, she was my girl, like she was my first baby. So, you know, there's days where I'm fine, and then there's days where, you know, it's so hard because, you know, when we moved out here, she was older, so she didn't pass the health evaluation to be able to fly out here to Japan. So she was staying with my mom and dad, and she was happy there, she was loved, and the thought of like we will move back to Alabama and she won't be there is really hard for me. So it's almost like the minute I start to heal and recover and come to accept the fact that she's gone, it hits me all over again, because I know that I'm gonna have to face that truth once we do move back home, that she isn't there anymore. So, you know, that is something that was extremely hard for me to get through, and I feel for anyone who's ever lost anyone that close to them, you know, because she was my girl. So that was probably one of the worst days of my life. And then shortly after Ariel passed away, John Michael left again. And then within like 2 to 3 days of him leaving, a typhoon hit Okinawa and completely destroyed both of our cars. So thankfully I had amazing friends here and amazing neighbors to help me try to clean out my cars and at least get them runnable to get to a mechanic or somebody that could help me. And in the end, I ultimately had to just purchase a new car, which was terrible, but that is what had to happen. So of course I dealt with that by myself, because that is the good old deployment curse happening. So that was very, very fun. I actually made a video on that when it happened. It was terrible, but I kept good spirits, I think. I was pretty positive through the whole thing. And you know, I know this video sounds like I've had the worst year, but without a doubt, you know, if you know me personally, you know how I parent, and you know how I only want positive energy around Stormy. So, you know, these things that I was going through, that I was really hurting inside, I don't want her to see me cry. And it's not because crying is a sign of weakness. That is not it. She doesn't understand why mommy feels that way yet. So there's no reason for me to express those emotions in front of her and just get her upset. So I just tried to, you know, hold it all in the best I could until she would go down for a nap or go to bed, and then I would just kind of, you know, let all of my emotions out. But around her, it was so, you know, even through all of the pain that I've gone through, she is my number one priority. So it was easy for me to kind of put on a front and just find the joy and the happiness that she brings. So it was easy to not act because I wasn't acting, but kind of suppress those hurt emotions and that brokenness, because she is just so happy and so kind and so loving. So it was just so easy for me to kind of be happy and be positive when she was awake and playing and around me. So she is without a doubt the best thing that has ever happened to me. And you know, 2020 has been a very, very hard year for me. So I am just so grateful that God blessed me with her, because she is the greatest. And I know it sounds so crazy if you aren't a parent, because you don't understand that love and that connection and that proud feeling, because she just, everything she does makes me so proud. So 2020 may have been crappy and crazy and nothing like I wanted it to go, but she made every bad day so much better. That is my 2020 recap. So if you enjoyed watching all of my craziness, please give this video a thumbs up and head over to my social medias to follow my daily life. I hope you guys have the best New Year's, and I will see you guys in 2021. Bye.